What's up, humanities? Mr. Chaluki here, recording from the comfort of my kitchen as I sit here and sip on a little bit of coffee. There's going to be a longer video, like notes attachment, that'll also be on this post. That one is more getting into like the curriculum and kind of what we're covering in class today, and really probably for the next couple days, we'll be piggybacking off the notes and slides, and some of the assignments will tie into what I'll be covering there. First up, though, just wanted to clarify a few things, and this one I'll try to be very brief on. For humanities, as this would be the case for like my U.S. history class, I do recommend that you keep some ongoing notes for the class that will help you out when we get to the semester one exam. A lot of the things that will be questions on that exam, and it'll probably be pretty much all multiple choice, but maybe a few like short answer essay questions too. But anyway, most of the exam is going to come directly off like the lecture notes and the video notes that I'm giving you. I'll try to highlight things like in the videos and say, hey, this is something that you'd want to jot down that would be like relevant to that and be the exam kind of questions and answers for you. So you don't have to write down every single thing I say. Don't do that. That would be super stressful. And then you'd have pages and pages. You have a whole book of notes and it would be hard to make sense of it later. But when I do say like, hey, this is something that you'd want to write down, my advice would be you just jot that down. My goal is that like if you were doing a good job with notes, by the end of the semester, you might have a couple pages, 2, 3 pages, 4 pages, depending on how big you write, where you'd have some highlighted, like bullet pointed things. Now, I won't collect your notes. You don't have to turn them in, nothing like that. They're just for you to look at, and you keep them short and sweet. They really only have to make sense to you. So jot down those key things. I think they'll come in handy later on when we get to the exam. For example, like last week, if you hadn't viewed this video yet, but there was the one last week that I did on bias and tribalism, those would be 2 good components. I'd want you to have those things on there for sure, as both of them will be exam questions, and we're going to just reference back to those key concepts throughout the semester. One thing that I would have you add onto your notes right now from this little intro video, I feel like the most important thing in humanities class, and probably for any social studies class, is that you are capable of critical thinking. I want you to use your brain. Like I had explained last week, I have bias. I have my own opinions and my own views. Don't ever think that my goal for this class is to get you to be and think just like I do. In fact, I don't really necessarily even encourage that. If you agree with me on things, that's great. But it's never been my goal in any of my classes just to create a bunch of little mindless drones out there that are thinking and doing exactly how, I think. I want you to use your brain. I want you to really like generate your own opinions. Start thinking for yourself. Develop that prefrontal cortex. Start building your brain power up. So that would be something that you would write down. If I had a question on the exam that was like, what's the most important key thing that Chaluki wants me to get from this class? It would be critical thinking. Use my own brain, generate my own opinions. So critical thinking is a pretty key concept. Let me look at my notes here. Now, last year, we did a lot of group work where we would break down topics. Like the first bigger topic I'm going to be getting into today will be racism, and that'll be covered on the other notes video that you should watch next. Last year we would have worked together we would have done class discussion, then got together in smaller groups. We did a lot of recordings, videos, and podcasts and stuff where you were working collaboratively with other students in the class. Now, with everything going kind of remote, that's going to be pretty tough to do, if not impossible to do this year, because we have to social distance and we don't see each other. So just know the format of this class is going to change quite a bit. And I think as I'm starting to get into it more, and we're getting to be about a month into the school year, I'm probably going to bounce around a little bit more than I would have last year. And also things will be obviously way more like individually based. So just kind of giving you a heads up. Initially, I think it's some of my first comments in the class, I said we do kind of broader like units that might last a few weeks. I honestly don't think we're going to do a ton of project-based learning or big, long units this semester. I'm probably going to bounce around quite a bit. And the other thing is, with the election coming up in November, leading up to that, I don't want every single thing to be about politics and just about like Biden versus Trump, or, the horse race that's kind of going on and all the craziness with the election. But a lot of the stuff that I will be covering in class leading up to the election in some way, shape, or form will tie into politics in America in this election coming up. For example, like as we're getting into, race relations this week, obviously, unless you've been living in a cave, I would imagine you kind of get that there are some racial tensions building in the country. So a lot of these little like mini topics we're doing, where it might bounce around, we might hit 2 or 3 topics in a week. Those will, in some way, shape, or form, I'll link them into kind of the election and what's going on, the bigger discussion going on in America today. What we have kind of in the near horizon here, or like for the short term coming up, I plan to start getting into race today, and that will probably hit a few days this week, if not even the rest of this school week. But I also plan to hit guns in America, just like the gun rights issue, Second Amendment stuff, and really try to dig into both sides of that. And I think I'm going to hit some conspiracy theory type stuff too. All 3 of those topics got a lot of votes in the beginning of the year, like the first week poll. So those should be some good ones to start with. Hope you're into that stuff. I hope you enjoy it. And as soon as you finish this video up, have that notepad out where you just put in the critical thinking as the most important aspect of the class, and get ready to take some notes on the history of race relations and where we stand today in 2020.